Lauren Shiba is going to be the protagonist of the new story called Power Rangers Prime, and this is going to be a new beginning for the franchise. This comic is going to be a reboot of the franchise, but in the comics and later on we are going to analyze if this could be the beginning of the reboot on television. The details that they released about this comic are very few, but we are going to mention everything that we could understand and what we know for now. Even though they are going to use several known characters from the franchise, they are also going to create new characters, and the old characters are not going to act as we expect. The places where the events are going to happen are also going to be known, but they are not going to be the same as how we have known them throughout our lives. The plot of this story is that Lauren is going to be running away from police officers from the planet Elter, the planet that Zordon belongs to, and she is going to hide on Earth since these police officers are hunting the Power Rangers. Lauren is going to be hiding in Angel Grove, but this is not the same Angel Grove that we know despite being the same place. This Angel Grove is very different and there is no Zordon here. Even though Lauren is going to be hiding from the Elter police, this is not going to last for long and it is going to cause a lot of trouble. For now, we know that we are going to see some characters from the Megaforce series and also from the Jungle Fury series, but obviously also from Samurai since that is the team Lauren belongs to. According to Melissa, the writer of Power Rangers Prime, who also wrote many sagas of the Power Rangers comics including the last one, this new story is not going to have any relation with the universe that we saw for 8 years in the comics. The media has also started to compare Power Rangers Prime with Marvel's Ultimate Universe, which started in 2000, and its proposal was to give a new origin story to the characters that we have known all our lives. This way the writers have all the freedom to create new stories of a famous character without the ties of all their old history, and this would also help the readers to understand the whole story without having to read many old comics. In short, when a story has been in the making for many years and you are a new reader who has never read one of those comics, then you don't know anything about the story. This causes you to not understand many of the things that are happening at that moment, and usually the reader ends up giving up. The best example is the Power Rangers comics, which have been creating a story in the same universe for 8 years, and if you are a new reader who starts with the most recent saga, it is likely that you will not understand anything of what is happening. It's basically like starting to watch a movie when it's halfway through and you're not going to understand anything about the plot. This is the great opportunity that Power Rangers Prime offers, since it's going to be a new beginning, and those who have never been able to read the Power Rangers comics will now be able to start with this fresh story. This means that, even if you haven't read any Power Rangers comics in these 8 years, it's not going to matter since the new universe has no relation to the previous universe. If you've seen something about the multiverse, then you'll be able to understand that there are thousands of universes in which the same characters exist, but with different stories, and this causes each character to have a different personality, even if they are the same person. We were able to understand this better in the Doctor Strange movie that showed us the multiverse, and there we were able to meet other Doctor Strange who were different despite still being the famous magician. Possibly this is something similar to what happens in Power Rangers Prime, since we're going to have many known characters, but perhaps they won't have the same personality, and they will be able to surprise us. Despite this, Melissa says that she won't necessarily follow the same path that Marvel did, since Power Rangers Prime doesn't coexist alongside the classic Power Rangers timeline. This means that we may never see the Rangers from Power Rangers Prime cross the multiverse to meet up with the Rangers from the universe we've known for these 8 years. After that, the writer mentioned that maybe this could happen since Marvel makes it so cool that maybe she unintentionally ends up doing the same thing. The important thing is that with this new story the writers will have a lot of freedom, since they don't have to follow the canon and they will only have the characters, but they can create a completely new story for them. Is this going to affect the TV series? Could Power Rangers Prime be the beginning of the reboot? Something interesting that Melissa said is that the whole Power Rangers zeitgeist is open to the writers, and she can't explain the reason for this yet. This answer isn't about the questions we just asked, but that comment from her can perhaps answer a lot of things. For several years now, there has been talk about the Power Rangers reboot that Hasbro was planning, and for some very strange reason Boom Studios decided to put an end to the universe that we have known for these last 8 years. This also coincided with the end of the universe of the television series that we saw for 30 years and with all the strange moves that Hasbro has been doing in these last months. I don't know if this is a coincidence, but the best thing for any superhero franchise is to start a new universe by telling stories in the comics and then have those stories connect to series and movies. Based on what we've seen over the past few years, the Power Rangers reboot was supposed to be aimed at a more adult audience and with a new story that had no relation to the old universe. Even though we all imagined that this meant that we would never see old, familiar characters again and that all the characters in this reboot were going to be new, the reality is that a reboot can also be like Power Rangers Prime, in which we have familiar characters, but with a new origin story. The comics have always been what many fans want to see from a Power Rangers story, since they have always been aimed at a more mature audience and with more complex stories. Melissa herself mentions that Kyle Higgins, the writer who started the Power Rangers comic book universe, said that he wasn't telling the Power Rangers as they were, a children's series, he was telling the Power Rangers as he remembered them making him feel. All of us who grew up with Power Rangers know that these heroes made us feel that they were very powerful and that the villains were really dark. When we became adults, we realized that the Power Rangers are quite exaggerated and the villains quite silly, but this is not how we felt when we were children. The comics have created the perfect stories in which the Power Rangers are very powerful heroes, but at the same time very human, and the villains are really evil. This is precisely what we would like to see in a television series, and even if they used the same characters that we already know, they could change their origin story so that they can create a different universe. There are still no details about the Power Rangers reboot on TV, but Power Rangers Prime could be a great reboot of the comics. To end this video, I'm going to show you the promotional video that Boom Studios published about this new story.